Hello, I'm Michael, and today I want to welcome you to a slightly different series. So we're still playing Civ 5 using the Vox Populi mod, but I'm going all the way on holidays. On Sunday I'm going to fly to Fuerteventura, and I'll be lying on the beach, and I thought I should maybe do something for you as well. So we're going to do a little series where we talk about a certain civs. Today we're going to start with Venice. It should be reasonably short episodes. We're not going to play, we're just going to talk about them a little bit. And then when I come back, we're going to carry on with our Deity Russia game. So I mentioned it a few days ago, and somebody actually asked for Venice. And sort of quite nicely, we can't really see the block over here because I find them entirely creepy. But never mind them. Let's have a look at our unique ability. Main thing, of course, as Venice is we cannot build any settlers or annex cities. We get double trade routes. We get a free merchant at trade, and if we found a city with those great merchants, they have minus 30% yields, and we can use gold in those cities to purchase buildings, and they gain happiness like normal cities. That already involves our great unit here, Great Merchant of Venice, so he can purchase a city-state, we can found a city, or you can just build a town. It's a town on steroids, I think. And then we got a unique national monument. That's pretty good, but it's not going to be part of our discussion today. So let's start with starting location. Now I've re-rolled this quite a few times, and there are quite a few things you have to consider as Venice. So because we can't build settlers, or we can only found cities with great merchants, sort of limited in the amount of those we can get. We're gonna have less cities, and we're gonna be sort of fairly vulnerable. So ideally you want to have like a little bit of land tucked away, and of course you can't see that immediately. So here are sort of what this looks quite promising. There is truffles here, which there are different luxuries that can be good for different reasons. The truffles, it's quite nice. You can grab the first tick, you can go trapping, and then you only have to research one tick, and then sort of you can go out and improve those stats immediately. We've got some mountains here. You might go for different luxuries, and I really suggest you re-roll this until you're happy. There's like a lapis which gives you 2 signs from the tile, which is good. There might be luxuries with a really good monopoly bonus, but you're not guaranteed to get a monopoly. Right, you have to get 5 out of 8 copies, and then they usually spread out quite a bit. So if you're lucky, you can cover those with 2 cities, then you should get it. If they're spread out further, or if the locations are really, really bad, you might reconsider. So so just for illustration purposes, I'm gonna do this here. I settle on spot, and we can grow, and then we can work those 2 tiles, that's fine. So first decision is monument or shrine, and I would advise going for monument. It's quite unlikely that you get a religion. You can get it, but you have to sort of be a little bit lucky, or you have to be quite specific in the luxuries you go for. If you get, for example, I think it's pearls, it's incense, wine, that give you faith from the Monopoly bonus, but then again, as I said, you have to get your 5 copies, get them quickly and hope that's enough. You're not gonna have like 5 cities where you get like shrines and things and get your faith up that way. And then if you invest a whole lot in the faith and don't get a religion, then you'll have neglected culture and other things. So I would go monument first, and I want to get to the first policy quickly. I want my borders to grow so I can always work the best tiles or improve them. I think it's the most prudent way to go about this. Now, as for text, now there is a special thing here with Venice and that you should know about. And it's a bit risky, right? So I would go trapping and just try to develop normally. Go pottery next, get to trade, then we get our first great merchant of Venice. But you can go mining first, and you can try to build the pyramids. And we can see what happens. So here we are. Let me just switch back to the capital here. Here I went straight for mining. I saved up all my money. I went tradition when I had enough. After going monument, went tradition, so we're up to 6 pop. We got no special production tiles, but luckily because of the truffles here we had a bit of money, and I paid for the pyramids to be finished, and it's gonna be turn 24. I'll just use that puff and it goes somewhere. There's a Pantheon. Pantheon we're going to talk about in a minute. And here we are, we get the pyramids. A settler doesn't appear near the city. 50 golden age points when you expand a great person scaling with arrow. Cool. So instead of a settler, we get a great merchant of Venice. Isn't that amazing? It's turn 24. I've seen the pyramids go as early as turn 17. It's totally disgusting. But if you got a civ that gets like a good rune or something, or got some super production heavy tiles, we just wondered, is it sugar, is it tea or something? Or a city that's sort of in the desert, ever's got some lapis or amber tiles and you get loads of hammers. And anyhow, AI gets advantages. So you can do that. It's a risk you take, right? So we managed to get it here, even without the best tiles. So we had some growth. And then, like, we didn't have a tile with more than 1 hammer. We might have chosen this one here, but it wasn't necessary. And you need to have enough money to pay for. Wait, does it actually tell you here? It doesn't tell you. It's quite a bit of money. So if you don't, yeah, if you got no income from the likes of truffles or something like that, you can't pay for it, and then even one turn longer, and somebody might beat you to it. But that's one way of playing the game. Let's just go back to the normal way. So when you play the game normally, you just build your monument. You go for trapping, then pottery, into trade, and as you can see here on the map, this is quite a good map. For some things it's good. We're gonna talk about the other bits later. But we're sort of tucked away in a corner. And we've got the truffles, we got 3 of them in range of the capital. When you finish tradition, you can work the 4th ring. And let's talk about that in a second. And then we got 2 more copies of Travels of Day. Just do your normal exploring, and then we come to the policy. And I'd say in 99% of all cases you go tradition, you get the 2 extra pop. And then you want to grow as quickly as possible and work those specialists as they come along here. Go this one first. Here you can lock the artist, which will give you more culture, which will help you give you this one quicker. And then carry on from there. Progress is usually for when you want to spread out quite a bit. And a 40 might be sort of a fun challenge. You might want to try one day. I think it might be doable. But I think you have to be pretty good. You have to be pretty certain which tech path you take, which buildings. Yeah, because you're sort of limited by the number of cities you have initially by supply cap. Even though the supply cap is not as much of a problem as you might think, and I'll get to that a little bit later as well. One thing I don't know, I didn't want to sort of spend too much time on it. I don't know if you might get another merchant of Venice here instead of a settler. It could well be. And it might be one of the few cases where it might be worth going down the left-hand side. Even so, you have to do some bob hunting to get your culture. And it's risky. But I might do it one day just as a sort of a challenge, as a fun game. So usually you go tradition though, and then, as I said, you wanna get your slots working. And where is it here? So here we got a little bit of money saved up. You get a worker, you start on the lodge, you get tradition, you get 2 extra pop from that. And you also get 1 science for each policy you unlock, and also 3% growth. That is a bit. And what do we get? Another +1 culture and capital for every 2 citizens, and plus 5% growth. So it's good. So it's all fine from there. So let's carry on. I can just show you, in fact, even though the episode might be short, I've actually prepared quite a few tiles and tiles files even, and in between I also recorded today's Russia episode. So let's go to this thing here. So this is where the fun starts, right? We've researched trade, get our great merchant of Venice, and well, there's one of 2 things you can do. I don't think you want to place a town early. It's a town on steroids, don't get me wrong, but you either want to found a city or you want to pay for a city-state. If you pay a city-state, you get all the buildings and all the units that go with it, but you can't control which buildings it builds. It selects its own building queue. You can go in there, and I'm going to show you later. You can purchase a building which then jumps to the front of the queue. So that's the only way you can influence that. Purchasing a city-state, you want to think about what you do, because you might think, okay. I mean, Assyria's our neighbor here, and there's Rome. That's actually pretty good for us. So Assyria are pretty aggressive, but they're going to have border friction here. You should try to be neutral with both of them. If you befriend Rome, then they're going to be pissed. Let's imagine worse than Assyria. You got like Denmark next to you, or the Zulus, or the Iroquois, who are super aggressive. Then you might think, oh, I'm going to purchase that city-state here. and that's gonna help me. And what do you do if they just go and attack it? It'd be pretty tough to reinforce from here. Better way of doing it is founding a city somewhere and then trying to ally that city-state. So if they get conquered, at least that would have helped you a little bit. So as for the city placement, like in this map here, I would consider two things. One of them is trying to secure the monopoly. And for that purpose, I'd have to probably go up here. That's the only place where I can grab 2 more copies of the truffles to get the monopoly. And it's quite nice. It's a free food bonus from each tile. And you cannot have enough food as Venice. Also get back to that later. Another city location I consider is this one here. There isn't much here to work. It'll be fine. But it's a superb defensive city. If you got an aggressive neighbor, then this location is cool. There's a mountain ridge here protecting you from that side. There's a river, so anybody would stop everybody in its tracks. You'd have a city bombard and a ranged garrison inside. You shoot all those tiles here. And there's a double river even here, so you could have a melee unit getting 25% defense bonus here in the forest. And you could have ranged units all around here. So superb defensive city. But again, those guys are pretty hard to come by, right? So you have to make up your mind about what you want to do. So as you can see, I decided to move my Great Merchant up here, trying to get to this location. That's gonna grab the 2 remaining truffles. And then the next thing you're gonna have to decide is about the Pantheon. And as I mentioned earlier, sort of, you're unlikely to get a religion. And keeping that in mind, if you get somebody else's religion, which might happen in 50 or 150 turns, you don't know, you're going to lose your Pantheon, right? So you could take something that you don't mind losing too much, like God of all creation, right? This will give you pretty much instantly a plus for food, production, gold, science, and the capital, plus faith in the monument, and 1 culture. Sort of, this is actually quite a bunch in the beginning. So then if you in 100 turns lose that religion, you'll have taken advantage of that and you might actually get something better. Interesting one, God of Commerce here. This is usually a progress thing. You could do that, try that. Interesting thing is the 2 great merchant points, right? So that will sort of immediately get you on the road to the next great merchant of Venice. The only thing is you have to... Okay, it's when you found the second city, you get that. I think in this game I've taken Goddess of the Hunt because it improves the camps, of which we have some here and some more up here. Quite a few up there, in fact, 4, 5 even. And what you could also do is, it's also perfect for that scenario. Goddess of Beauty, just take advantage of the 2 great artists and engineer points in the capital in the beginning of your game. Get 1 of each, and then later, if somebody gives you a religion, you don't mind losing that. It's cool. You'll have an artist giving you free culture. You'll have put a manufactory somewhere on one of the hills, I guess, and then that is fine. Goddess of Protection could be a thing. The only thing is you wouldn't want to build walls too early. Like, right. And free faith from the palace if you're not expecting to get a religion anyhow. I don't think it's viable, guys. It's not viable. Anyhow, and you can choose any of those improvement related ones. Just having a look at this one. I don't... Yeah, this one is 2 scientist points in the capital. It could be tried, I'm not convinced, but it is something about science that I will talk about later. I'm hoping to keep this whole thing under 30 minutes. So let's carry on. So very briefly now, we're in location and we're gonna found our second city. And as you can see, we get 3 pop immediately. We get 2 buildings, we get a market, we get a monument. And now the city selects its own building. So if you want a lodge, because you're gonna have camps here, you can pay for it. It gives you 50% of the building, and it does jump to the front of the queue. So that is how you can do that. You cannot queue up any units. You can pay for them, but of course you only get half XP. So let's talk about science and strategy. It's a little bit long. I've just got my third policy here, and it's got my great scientist slot. And this thing you have to work. You absolutely have to work, and it is the single most important thing when you do a one city challenge or when you play as Venice. And nothing is more important than science. You have to progress, and even if you look, even now it's early in the game, you look here on the left hand side, there is nothing for me to do. There's a herbalist I don't need, there's a wonder I don't need. So the only thing I could do is do some farming, right? How great is that? Not very. So even if you go into negative happiness, it doesn't matter. If you have to give up another slot, it doesn't matter. Keep working science. We need a science slot. You need great scientists. You need academies. You need to progress in the tech tree. Make progress, and you might also plan your tech path so that you always have 1 or 2 buildings to build, right? But you should definitely go for writing. And then there's situational stuff down here. You might have an aggressive neighbor, you might need spearmen, fair enough, right? Archer you get on the way to writing anyhow. Usually I like going for masonry. There's production here in the watermill, and also the arena gives production to barracks. If you are reasonably isolated, if you don't need units, I would beeline to education, right? Get to School of Philosophy. Something's making a funny noise here. It's like one of my lights. If you got an aggressive neighbor, you will not be able to do it, because they'll have a look at you and see no walls, no units, say hello, we're coming. So you might have to go bronze working, maybe even iron working, which is not awful. You get a heroic epic here, you get a free writer, so that's not so bad. Forge is also a bit of science, so don't be disheartened if you got an aggressive neighbor and you have to go down here first. Crap writing first anyhow. Just getting the library and working the slot will give you enough science to get this one reasonably quickly. And then you can still go up here, maybe grab the composite bow for defense on the way up. And then about strategies, I think there's sort of 2 viable ways to go about it. One of them is to go tradition into statecraft, because you can have shit tons of trade routes. You can have tons and tons of money. And that's why also production is not so important in your capital, because you can pay for every single building you'll ever want. You will pay for all of them. You will have the money. But here there's a thing, which one is it now? trade routes to city-states generate +1 influence per turn per each own city-state trade route. So maximum +5, but you can have up to like 14 or 16 or 22 trade routes at the end of the game. You get more yields for those things, and of course, if you can ally city-states, and depending on who's in the game, be careful if you got Siam, Austria, Germany in the game. There's 2 or 3 others that sort of like to go statecraft. But here that shadow networks is a thing where you get a whole lot of science. But going for a science victory is difficult, especially if you got sort of endgame aggression from AI. And when you're playing on Deity, that can be quite tough if sort of 2 or 3 of them gang up on you. And they pillage all your trade routes, and suddenly it can quite easily fall apart, right? And the path to the science victory is a very, very long one. There's some some pretty nasty weapons there later, tanks and things. So the safer route and the more realistic one, I think, is go artistry. Try to get a tourism victory. Do those things as you see fit. I tend to sort of take policies first to give you more culture, and that way you can sort of get through the tree quickest. For example, this one is nice to get a great person, but I think you want to complete that left-hand side first before you go this one. It's actually quite nice to have this one in hand if you ever need a great person sort of instantly. And as far as wonders are concerned, if you do that thing right, if you lock all your signs and... Oh yeah, I should mention something. I forgot to mention it earlier. When you found your second, third, fourth cities, they don't increase the cost of your tax and your policies, right? It stays the same. So even though you got a 30% yield penalty in those cities, they're still really contributing a lot to your science and your culture. So you should make pretty rapid progress. So if you do that right, you will have some wonders available. Some of the better ones. The Hanging Gardens is a lot of food, which might be nice. It's something I wouldn't want to build at that time, probably. I prefer other things. It's good though. Some people like to go try and get the Great Wall. It's at engineering, it's a thing. The Terracotta Army, that could be something because it increases your supply cap, and I'd say sooner or later you'll be in a war. Maybe if you're lucky you got like, I don't know, India, or usually it's what's your man, Kamehameha, Polynesia. He's a sort of fairly friendly neighbor, unless of course he hasn't got another neighbor. And that's something you should always look out for. If your neighbor hasn't got another neighbor, you're going to be in trouble. Sooner or later. It's just bound to happen. Maybe Polynesia is super benign, but other wonders, the really big ones are the Leaning Tower. You get a free person. You could get another great merchant of Venice. I don't think the religious stuff is all that much. University of Sonko is up there. You should try to get to education as quickly as you can and try and grab that. And having grabbed education, you should generate more and more science so you can get down here to chemistry quickly. Sistine Chapel is super good. Reduces the policy cost by 10%. It's a super important tech anyhow. If I had to choose one wonder out of all of them, it might be the Sistine Chapel. I don't think you'll be lucky enough to get a porcelain tower, but as Venice, it would be amazingly good to have that. And the more science you can generate, the more likely you are to to get those wonders that are really good. The rest of the stuff, then you have to sort of decide where you are in the game. Yeah, that is Venice. It's certainly a challenging civ to play. I think I've done a playthrough, but I think I played it on Immortal because I thought it was so crap. I think I won the game. I don't know. So anyhow, that's my first episode of our Let's Talk About. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in comments and I'll read it when I'm lying on the beach in Fuerteventura. I promise. Bye-bye.